What is going on, YouTube? AJ here, and we are going to begin our new and returning player guide for Final Fantasy XI Online Retail in 2024. Now, this isn't going to be a complete 100% hold your hand guide, more of what I wish I knew when I came back to the game just about a year ago, and some items that you might not be familiar with. Now, I'm definitely not an expert on Final Fantasy XI in 2024. I'm still learning. But I have about 250 one-hour Let's Play videos on my channel, with a playtime of about 60 days, on the character I created just about a year ago. If you wanted more of a walkthrough, they might be a good resource. And before we even start this guide, just a heads up, you still have to purchase the game, and the game in 2024 still has a subscription. Might be a deal breaker for some. And also, your server choices. Choose whatever server you want. If you're looking for a high pop server, Asura is the highest pop, and Bahamut and Odin. Odin, I've heard, is more Japanese. Bahamut is pretty mixed. So that's just food for thought. And one more thing before we begin. There is a wealth of information and guides, especially on the BG Wiki, which I will be linking a few guides that I had used when I came back. For me personally, I just enjoy a audio and visual guide rather than just reading, so use everything that you can. Use every resource you can, I'd say. Now, I don't want to go full ham on the config menu, but there are a few changes I like to make when I start a new character. So the config menu is going to be your secondary menu. Your first menu is the status, equipment, items, all that. Macros, missions, quests, key items, and config are on your second page. In gameplay, probably the most impactful is your inventory. You're going to want to hit sort on. I don't know any I'm sure there's reasons why you'd want sort off, but with sort off, you're gonna get a full inventory pretty quickly. Next, I normally drop my sound effect volume and music volume down to about 50%. That way you can, if you want it louder, you can just use your PC volume, because it's pretty loud. The next two that we have here, they're important, but not right this second. Chat filters and font colors. These, you'll want to change these, but these are, I wouldn't worry about them right now. So for Windows, let's do the shared first. And there's quite a few things that we could do here, which we are going to do. First of all is timestamp. Timestamp is pretty important because this will tell you what time a message was sent. If somebody messages you, they send you a tell in-game, and you're AFK for, say, an hour and a half, you don't know when they sent that tell. Like, hey, do you want help with X item? And they send that to you an hour and a half ago. They might just be like, F you weren't there. So this, I normally do down to the seconds. Next is window type. The default window type is this kind of blue line thing. I think it's hideous, so I always change it. This is up to you. If you love that blue line, go for it. I typically either do 2, 4, 5, or 6. I think those are the nicest ones for me. Next is the log window. Starting off, you don't have to do this, but it might help if you start off doing this early. Now, you can do... The purpose of this is to having 2 windows, so that, your shouts, your conversation with people are going to be in one window, and your battle queues and all that are going to be in another. Vertical, I know some people play like this. I don't. Now, if you see on the right-hand side of our screen, window 1 is huge, and window 2 is off screen. We could fix that pretty easily. So, window 1, maximum lines 8. That's how tall it will be, how many lines will be displayed with that. Okay, the width, there we go. We're going to drag this over here. And window width on this. And now window 2 is basically all showing right there. So that's Windows. Again, that's not something you need to do early on, but it might be helpful to start playing with it like that. The next one in config is log. And if you chose not to split your windows, completely fine, like I said. But if you did, window 1 will be chat. Okay, so chat is all off on there. So Unity chat, link shell chat, say, tell, party chat, that's all going to be in your window 2. Here you're going to show your HP recovered, lost, beneficial, detrimental, all that stuff. You're going to show your party members. You could turn all this stuff on or off with just a click of a button. And battle messages, call for help, system messages will be in window 1. Window 2, everything we just saw in window 1 is off, but all the chat should be on. So as you can see right now in my window 2, we're getting the RMT spammers. And we could block that stuff later on. But yeah, that's log. So if you didn't mess with the splitting the windows, don't worry about that. Next up is going to be miscellaneous. Damage display. This is going to be it's going to be a pop-up graphic if you do screen. And you won't be able to look back in what you did. Oh, I did a really cool weapon skill. How much damage did that do? If you miss it being on screen, then you won't be able to look back. Log will put it in the log window only. Both will do both. I would definitely suggest either log or both. And maybe if you just don't care and you wanted to look cool, screen. Character information, just hides or shows your character information. This will make it so that nobody else can see what you are. I mean, that was probably helpful back in 2004 when you were a red mage and you just wanted people to leave you alone. Shadows, weather effects, character models displayed. All this stuff is basically... It was to help your 2005 computer run smoother. Right now, even if you're running a potato right now, none of this stuff should matter. Miscellaneous 2. Most of this stuff is still for if you're running your gateway computer from 1998 and need to slow stuff down. Keyboard size should be full. Your background aspect ratio, I believe this is its default at 4:3. Gotta remember this was on the PS2, and back then I think the monitors were all 4:3. So go ahead and use what you prefer looking at. I know I think on some Mithras I do 16:9. I think for my Elven, I'll do a 15:10. Macro palette size is going to be full. And all the dynamic and static means is that sometimes when you pull it up, it'll come up to the left or the right. Doesn't really matter. I like it kind of going wherever it wants. Alright, miscellaneous 3. Weapon effect. Style lock is basically transmog for... like if you play Warcraft or know about Warcraft. It's a little bit weird. You're going to have to put on the armor that you want. You want to physically put it on. Hit static, but it does mess up every once in a while. I think if you change weapons, it'll mess up. If you do a couple of things. It messes up quite a bit, so it's worth it if you want it to like look cool, but it does mess up. The next things that are kind of important to me is the party icon display, which that's good if you want to see if, oh, does that person have haste on them, or does that person have protect on them. When you look at them, it'll have like a very small display of what buffs they have. Timer display is incredibly important, and that's how much time is left on buffs that you have. So you definitely want to put miscellaneous 3 timer if anything in that category, timer display on is needed. Miscellaneous 4, term filter is basically a thing. I believe it was implemented back in early 2023, and this was to combat the RMT spam. You'll see, it doesn't matter what server you're on, you're going to see RMT spam. If you don't feel like blacklisting every person who is shouting, you could do a term filter, which, you know, up to you what you want to filter out. But I think you have to do that in the config folder of Final Fantasy XI. I've never done it, so I don't know. The effects menu, fun to play around with if you want. Don't need to do anything there. For me, again, I use a controller. I've been playing since the PS2 era. I can't play unless the third-person camera X and Y axis are inverted. It feels dirty to me when they're not inverted. Now we can start playing. Finally, in config is global. This has 2 items. Auto disconnect. I think most people have it off. Otherwise, if you're AFK for 10 minutes, this will auto disconnect you. This was amazing back in the dial-up days when you were paying per minute. Not so much anymore. Language filter. If you get triggered by bad words, you might want to turn it on. Otherwise, turn it off. Who cares? And last on the config menu is something brand new. I believe it came out late 2023, maybe October. We have gamepad, which you can configure your gamepad layout. You used to have to totally exit the game, do this, hope that you got it right, and then come back and log in to test it. Now it's all there for you. All right, moving on from the config menu, we're going to take a look at inventory and inventory management from day one. Really important stuff. Back in the day, if you played, when I played, COP, ZM, Ot Ergon, Wings of the Goddess, a lot of this inventory space was not available to you, so it's kind of a shock to the system. And the first thing that we want to do is you start off with 30 slots of inventory. Anything in green means it's equipped. So, what we want to do first is we're going to get naked. Trust me. I know it's probably not the first time you've heard somebody say that, but you can trust me. We're getting naked. And, of course, a naked elven wears pants. So now that we've unequipped everything, it's still in our inventory. But if we go to the next menu, go to the View House, we'll have 2 Mog wardrobes. And they are both 80 slots. If we move everything that is equipable into the Mog wardrobe, we'll be able to equip it like this. From here, it'll give you the storage options. Go down to the Mog Wardrobe 1. And this includes consumable items like a XP ring or a re-raise hairpin. It's just the way that you have to activate them is a little bit different. We're going to go over that when we get there. Now, you're either thinking two things. One, oh my god, 2 Mog wardrobes of 80 slots. I'll never have any kind of inventory management problems. Well, you'd be wrong. These fill up pretty quick, especially if you have multiple jobs at 99. Some jobs require many different gear sets, and this will fill up fast. The next thing you might be thinking is, AJ, there's 8 Mog wardrobes. Everything after 2, you need to buy. So you're going to have to add this on to your Square Enix account. I don't do that. That's a bit much for me. Alright, so the Mog wardrobes can only hold equipable gear. You have quite a few other options. You have a Mog safe, off the bat, 50 slots. That's expandable. You will have access to Mog safe 2 as well, which is going to be expandable as well. You have storage, which is 0 out of 0. Once you start getting furniture for your Mog house, that will be expandable. You have a locker, which you get when you do Ot or Gone. The sack becomes available, I believe, during one of the expansions. The satchel, I believe, is the token, the 2-step verification token. I don't have that, so I will never have that. Mog case is the last one that is free when you log in for the first time. And one last thing on inventory management. The Mog sack, which is 80, and the Mog case, which is 80 storage capacity, are all usable in the field, which means if you are running around and your inventory gets full and you need to dump some things in there, that'll work. Another thing that has changed, I'm not sure when the change was, but this is a very important change, especially if you like to have 2 characters. This character is going to be my mule, and maybe I'll mess around with it sometimes. It is on the same server as my main. You can now send RX gear to the same account. I don't know when that changed, but that's something new to me. What do I mean by that? If you look at our profile, we have all level 1 jobs. We haven't done anything yet. We have 0 combat skills in everything. If I look at my Mog case, I have some pretty darn good gear. If you remember back in the day, these are items that people would camp for hours and hours and hours. I was able to do this on my main and send them over, even though a lot of them are rare X items. Very, very big change. For me, at least. One more thing. When it comes to adding usable items to your Mog wardrobe, I'm pretty sure that if you use this command for items, this menu for items, it won't show up. You will have to do the self-select where it says chat, magic, abilities, trust, items. You'll have to select it from this menu and not that one. Next, we're going to talk about fast travel. If you're coming back from 2007, you're in for a surprise. Home point crystals are now fast travel options. One of our first goals is to get as many as possible. Take 10 minutes when you first start playing and run around your starting city getting all of them. They're going to be marked on your map, so you can see them blinking. I would go and get all of them. We're in Sandoria. We're going to go to all 3 zones and get all of them. Trust me, you're going to be thankful later that you have all of them. Alright, we ran around Sandoria and we picked up a bunch of these home points. Now, you'll only be able to travel to home points that you touched, so go ahead and if you see these on the map, make a point to get them. The home points sometimes will have these letters next to them. All that means is M is Mog House, E is Entrance, A is Auction House. Definitely worthwhile getting them. Next, you'll see right next to this home point, there's also a book that is flashing. We're going to go here. We only have 60 gil, but if you keep on teleporting in the same region, it costs you nothing. So we'll still have 60 gil once we're done here. And this will bring us in front of a survival guide. Survival guides are typically in outdoor areas, and they'll cost either gil or tabs. And once we get more, we'll show that off. But books are very important as well. Make it a point to pick them up. Okay, so we got the book here in Northern Sandoria, the survival guide. That will act as a teleport. As I stated before, most of them are in outdoor areas, but there are some in the city areas. There's one in every city. There's one in Northern Sandoria, one in Bastock Mines, one in Port Windhurst, and there's one in Relude Gardens. I believe there's some in Tavnasia and in the Outolin areas as well. Another new feature that I do not want to forget to let you know about is that now, if you're a returning player, every job has access to wide scan. Back in the day, this was a Beastmaster and Ranger only item, and now everybody has it. I do believe that the distance that it goes is increased if you use Ranger or Beastmaster, but now everybody has access to that. If you want to go old school and farm NMs, it's very helpful. All right, next up is the Link Shell Concierge. And there's 3 of these in game. There's going to be one in Northern Sandoria, one in Bastock Mines, and one in Windhurst Walls. I could give you the location, but just go there and use your wide scan, and it'll come up there. Now, if you don't know what a link shell is, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this one, all a link shell is its guild. I know Final Fantasy XI people do not like to hear the word guild, but that's what it is. And to use the Link Shell Concierge, all you're going to have to do is click on her, show me recruiting link shells, and it'll give you a list. And I don't know, maybe let's pick one up and see how it goes. How about this one? Looks good. Receive link shell. From there we go to link shell. Set as number 1. And let's chat. I'm very happy that I didn't have their Discord there. I would have felt bad. Let's see if anybody bites. All right, moving on. This part is non-negotiable. You're going to have to go to your quest menu, and we have no quests. We have none completed. We're going to go down to Records of Eminence. We're going to go to your objective list. You're going to see Tutorial, Basics. You only have one choice. And it says, speak to one of the following Records of Eminence guides. It'll tell you the exact location, so just head on over there. Alright. I'm not going to walk you through the quests, but I'm going to show you exactly which ones that you're going to want to pick when you first start. So, we completed First Step Forward. Next, undertake a FOV, Field of Valor, training manual. Heal vanquish one enemy, skip the ambuscade, that's 119 stuff. Alter Ego will get there soon. Assist Channel will get there soon. I cannot stress enough to start doing this right away. Your monthly. It's in the bottom one called Other. Start doing your monthlies immediately. You cannot do two of these. This is 119 and this is 119. But this one you could do and this one you could do. Every month it's kind of split up into two that you can do as a low-level player and then two that you can't. So definitely in this one, experience chains. Okay, that's easy. And you're going to get Deeds of Heroism, which will be needed later. And then Combat, Wide Area, and Spoils. So, if you're going to be fighting bats, click on that. Free XP, basically free money. We're in Sandoria, so we're going to do Rabbit Hide, Flintstones, and Bat Wings. You could pick all of them, or you pick none of them, really, doesn't matter. Okay. And just start doing them. Next, let's talk about signets. You should have already received your signet and a free XP band, whether it be Chariot, Emperor, or Empress, if you did the follow-up quest to the first ROE, First Step Forward. If not, you may want to backtrack. The Conquest Overseers that provide the signet are simple to find. They'll be standing at most exits of each city and have 2 letters at the end of their names, whether it be IM, TK, or WW. Keep in mind though, if you're from Bastock and you attempt to talk to an overseer in Windhurst with a WW, they will not offer you a signet. If you need to refresh your signet in a foreign city, find your embassy and there will be an overseer there. Juno overseers will grant signet to all allegiances. Now let's talk about the significance of the signet. First, without a signet, you will not be able to yield any crystals from killing mobs. Crystals are generally used either for crafting, selling stacks on the AH, or they could also be used to trade to gate guards to increase your rank points to either unlock or skip certain missions. Second, you'll earn conquest points. Conquest points can be used for useful items, gear, or recharging that free XP band you received. The Warp Ring is going to be your first goal. It's about 5,000 conquest points. You can recharge your XP ring once per week. The new week starts at Japanese midnight on Sunday, so don't throw that away. If you do, you could buy another one, but it's cheaper just to recharge it. Third are invisible buffs that either increase your defense against certain mobs, quicker health recovery, and no TP loss while resting. Grabbing a signet's easy to do, so just do it. And there's 2 places that you could track the amount of conquest points you have. The first is going to be in status and then currencies. It's the top one for us here. You can also find it in regional info, conquest, bottom right of the screen. Earlier in the video, I had mentioned that you could use consumable equipment that is stored in your MOG wardrobe. I'm not sure if this was always the case, or maybe it's just some people don't know how to do it, so let's go over that. Right now, I have a raising earring equipped, and that's equipped from my inventory. And I have my Empress band that we got for free, and I have that in my MOG Wardrobe 1. You can tell where your items are coming from that little 1 in the top right corner. So my Empress band is in MOG Wardrobe 1. So if I go to the items menu over here on the main menu, the only item that I can use right now is the raising earring. And I think that's what confuses people, that, oh, I can't use my Empress Band when it's in the Mog Wardrobe. Now if I select myself, or if I select a mob, and I click on it, I'll have another items menu down here, bottom left. And now I can use my Empress Band, which is in my Mog Wardrobe. Alright, so you have your signet, you have your XP band, you can see our XP band icon up here. Your next goal is to get to level 5. During your trek to level 5, when you kill monsters, you're going to come across blue and brown chests. Blue chests drop temporary meds. Now you can have this med, but if you log out or leave the zone, it'll disappear. Brown chests will drop gear and permanent items. Now, to unlock the brown chests, you're going to have to play a mini-game. And some of the items that drop out of these chests is worth it. Most are not. And as you can see, it's taking a lot of time. Is it worth the time? I don't think so. So let's go ahead and... It's going to be 28. And see what we get. Now okay, so it's just an Evilith. This is kind of useless, but we'll take it anyway. Do I think the brown chests are worth it? I don't think they're worth your time. If you just want to, relax and have fun, go for it, but it's very time consuming if you try to open each one that you get. Alright, now that you read through those quests and learned your first trust, go to the nearest exit and call forth that trust. Do that by selecting yourself and select Trust. Ooh. Doing so will complete your ROE quest, which in turn will give you a reward. Trade that reward to the first quest giver and keep on following the ROE. So, in Tutorial Basics, Alter Ego Valenorol. Select that. We're going to go back to the original guy, trade this to him. That will make us learn Valenorol as a trust. So I think I make that mistake every time. You're going to want to go back and talk to the person that you got the first trust with. That'll complete that quest. Once you complete that quest, you come back to the original quest giver, and all you have to do is trade them the cipher. A cipher isn't a trust yet. It's basically a coupon for the trust. Now, before we do that, let's go ahead and take a look again at the Records of Eminence, Tutorial Basics, Alter Ego Valenorol. We have it. We already have it. Once we get this complete, which means we trade the cipher to the quest giver, we're going to earn Trust Valenorol. Go directly outside, call Valenorol. You're going to get another cipher, and you're going to get another Basics Alter Ego quest. Make sure you click that, go back outside, call that trust, repeat. I think you have 4 trusts like that, so just keep on repeating that until you get all of those trusts. Alright. You ran around a lot, calling trust magic and returning to the original quest giver over and over. You should now have 6 trusts in total. At this point, you can only call 3 at a time, though. Once you progress into Rhapsodies, you'll be able to call 5 in total to form a full party. Which 3 you call now is totally up to you, but Valenorol is a great tank trust. Will do an AoE weapon skill to grab hate from every mob around, and he's still useful in some 119 content, so get used to seeing him around. Millie is your only healer right now, and it's not a great option. We'll try to upgrade her as soon as possible. The 3rd trust slot is up to you, but Tenzin is pretty powerful early on in the game as a DD. And now that you could call these 3 trusts, you should be able to kill tougher mobs at a quicker pace, leveling you up fast. Please keep in mind though, as you level, the trust you call remain at the level you summoned them. So if you called 3 trusts at level 7, and you leveled up to level 14, the trust will be 7 levels behind you. If you're leveling up fast, it's best to dismiss and resummon them to make sure they stay powerful. You can either select each one and use release, or to release them all at once, use the command /refa all, and they all are dismissed at once. And then you could resummon them through the trust menu. Alright, we are now level 5 or above. We have our 6 trusts. We're almost at the point where we can start playing the game a little bit. Let's go back to the quest menu and check the number completed. This is the number completed for the ROE quests. We have 15, as you can see. Our next objective, which is pretty important, is to have at least 10 completed. If you did all of the Trust Cipher quests and the other few easy quests in the basic tab, you should have at least 9. If you do not have 10, go to Combat Wide Area or Combat Region and go ahead and complete those until you have 10. So once we have 10 or more completed and are level 5 or above, there will be a new quest in Tutorial Basics called All for One. It will tell you where the quest giver is. Set that and talk to that NPC. This will begin your Unity journey. Now, this is not a permanent decision, so don't stress on this too long. If you do want some advice, 3 of these trusts are more useful than the others as a general consensus. Apururu is probably one of the best healers in the game. If you're a new player, returning player, you never use trusts, you probably want Apururu. Again, you can switch out later on. Orin is another healer. I don't believe he concentrates so much on AoE healing. And then there's Sylvie. Sylvie is a Geo, very strong, but the healing is not as potent as Apururu. A lot of people use this when they have a different healer, such as Monbaro. Now, once you select your Unity leader, you will gain access to that leader as a trust, but only after you've earned 5,000 Unity accolades. Also, you will have a new ROE objective, Unity. Unity Shared and the Unity Named Leader. These are completable at a low level. Wanted 1, 2, and 3 is 119 content. Okay, so now we're between level 5 and 12. We have a Unity Leader. We have 6 trusts, soon to be 7. I want you to set and complete as many ROE objectives as you can. Now it's time to level. This might sound wrong if you're a returning player, but leveling has become so easy, just hear me out. Level to 30, and we'll rejoin you then with our next steps. Oh, and on your way to 30, definitely check out your home nation's missions. By 30, you should be able to get to rank 3. Not going to cover nation missions in this guide. They're pretty straightforward. Alright, now we're level 30. We did it all in Valkyrie Dunes, but you could level wherever your little heart desires. There's an XP guide I will link in the description, but I found there's better places to level other than where they suggest. And the reason we waited to 30 is now you could also unlock your advanced jobs as well as your sub job. If you're new to the game, what's a sub job? Simply put, a sub job will bolster your main job by adding many of its abilities and traits to your main. For example, a monk warrior will have access to Berserk, Aggressor, and Double Attack, where a monk with no sub-job would not. A sub-job will be half your main's level rounded down and can be acquired at level 18. And hear me out. If we stopped at level 18 and got our sub-job, I feel like there'd be a lot more bouncing back and forth. Say you wanted to be a ninja. Okay, start with warrior to 18. Stop. Now level what? A thief to level 30? Which you're probably going to want to take to 99 at some point anyway for farming. But then you stop leveling thief at 30, unlock ninja. Now level war to 49 or 50 with your thief as a sub-job, only then to start ninja. My way, you can get your warrior to level 30 without a sub-job easy, unlock ninja, level that to 60 with a war sub-job, then take war ninja to 49, up to you, you do you. Alright, if this is your first time in Selbina, you should have gotten the cutscenes for Rhapsodies of Vanadiel. Once the cutscene ends, you're going to want to grab this home point. Grab every home point you see, but this one's rather important. So be sure to get that. You should have also gotten the survival guide by the outpost in Valkyrie Dunes. This fella here, Melion, happens to be my favorite NPC in the game. He's going to give a quest. The quest is repeatable. The quest gives you lots of fame for the towns of Bastok, Sandoria, and Juno, which are very important. We'll go over that later. Now, if you have all of your sub-job items from the dunes, Damselfly Worm, Magic Skull, and Crab Apron, you can then unlock your sub-job from Ezekiel. Assuming you had your signet on while getting to level 30, you will have more than enough conquest points to buy a warp ring. Do that. Feel free to browse gear as well, but if you haven't ranked up your missions, your selection will be minimal. Also, in the where you would buy your warp ring, there's also a few extra trusts that you could get. Go ahead and pick them up if you'd like. Let's talk about inventory space now. Again, if you had your signet on, you probably have a bunch of crystals. Now, you could sell your crystals on the AH in stacks of 12. You could store them in your Mog house. But a new option is to go to any guild in any major city. Right now, we're at the Tanner's Guild, and you'll see an ephemeral Moogle. Talk to him once, and then you're able to trade all your crystals at once, as many as you could trade, and he will store them for you. You can store thousands of these, and it's going to help you out. It's going to help your inventory management greatly. Next are your copper vouchers. Again, if you're doing ROE quests, you should have a few hanging around. These vouchers can be used to trade for all types of currency. Don't throw these away. They can be stored by simply trading them to your Sparks vendor. Now let's take a look at our Sparks and Accolades. Hopefully you had been selecting and completing ROE quests. This is your Gil Maker for the time being. Capping out 100k Sparks and 100k Accolades can earn you up to about 2 million Gil a week, give or take. Sparks can be used to purchase the same weapons and equipment you could buy in the auction house, and a lot of times it's a lot cheaper too. Full disclosure though, gear isn't all that impactful on the road to 99. It isn't rare to see people leveling straight up nude. If you're in a rush to get to 99, there's literally zero reason to camp Leaping Lizzie for an hour or two, but if you want to, go for it. I did it on my Let's Play. Sparks can also be used for items and skill increasing books, and a few trusts too. I'd pick up the trusts when you can and save the rest for later, especially if you're a melee ranged DD. The skill increasing books are kind of worthless. You'll cap just playing the game pretty fast anyway. Now that we've discussed what you can do with your sparks, let's talk about what you probably should be doing with them at this stage in the game. And that's buying Acheron shields and selling them to a vendor. These shields are on page 3 of the level 71 through 98 category. Shields cost about 2,700 sparks and they vendor for about 27,000 gil. You're going to want to have gil for both inventory expansion and map acquisition to start your playthrough. Unity accolades provide useful stuff for level 99 players with gear augments. For players just starting out though, your Unity accolades can be spent in 2 ways. Yet another fast travel device. At level 30, we can be shot right outside of Juno for just 100 accolades by selecting the Bring Me to a Wanted Encounter area and selecting the area that we want to go. Again, great if you're in a rush to level 99 and don't feel like exploring. But we could also buy prize powder, stacks upon stacks of these, and sell to a vendor instead for gil. Now, we didn't have too many sparks or accolades, but last night was Saturday, and we decided to buy what we could, as the amount of sparks and accolades you can spend resets Japanese midnight on Sunday. We're also specifically at this vendor in Windhurst. We got here via Unity Teleport, so we could sell our shields and powders as well as purchase items for the Only the Best quest in Selbina. Questing in Final Fantasy XI is a little bit different than most MMOs. Many quests require fame to acquire. Only the Best will increase fame in Juno, Sandoria, Bastok, Selbina, and Rabau. And we're buying these items, but we'll get some gil back in return, so it's not a total financial loss. And we are back here in Selbina. We got here so quickly by using the home point teleport. Hopefully you picked up that home point crystal last time we were here. Here's our favorite man, Melion. We have acquired 23 stacks of million corn, and this should get us just about to max rank in fame for Sandoria, Bastok, Juno, Selbina, and Rabau, so we'll never have to worry about fame for those places ever again in-game. In addition to this quest, which is called Only the Best, there's a quest called Mandragora Mad. It's a very similar quest that affects Windhurst and Kazam fame. You can purchase cornets from a Sparks vendor or in Bastok markets. There's a music shop there that sells them. I wouldn't waste my sparks on them. So after about 15 to 20 minutes of trading Melion corn, now you're going to want to make your way to Juno. You would either run there or you could take the Unity Warp. We took the Unity Warp to Battalia Downs, and we are right outside of Upper Juno. We're going to start this part of the guide talking about Upper Juno. Okay, now that we are in Upper Juno, go ahead and grab the home point crystals in every level of Juno you see. Just make it a habit. Every time you see a home point crystal, grab it. First, we're going to go over here to the left to M&P markets. There's 2 NPCs we're going to speak with. First is going to be Rhapsodies. Now, we have 200,000 gil. Rhapsodies sells magical maps. And we're going to end up spending about half our gil here. We're probably going to want to buy everything that they have. But for now, we don't want to go overboard and spend all of our gil. Next, we have Ariba. And Ariba is going to sell flowers. We want 3 flowers from Ariba. We want a lilac, an amaryllis, and a marguerite. Now, with the advent of the home point crystal teleports, these aren't as useful as they once were, but they're still a time saver. And what you're going to want to do is Google Mog House Exit Quests, and that'll tell you exactly what you need to do with these flowers. All right, we have 3 wonderful flowers. We have 100k worth of maps. Now we will embark on the rite of passage for every MMORPG. That's going to be our Mount quest. Brutus here will start your quest. I'm not going to spoil that quest either, but you do need 4 items. They're the same items, and they can be found 2 ways. One is the auction house, under weapons, ammo, miscellaneous, and pet items. The item is Gauzebit Grass, this top one right here. Now, as you can see, Gauzebit Grass are being sold anywhere from 6,300 to 9,000 gil. These people are gouging new players. I would not buy these for more than 1,000 gil each. They know that you need it, and they are trying to gouge you. These are not good people. What you can do in this scenario is you can go and take a 10 to 15 minute detour and farm these yourself, and I'll show you how to do that in just a little bit. Next, we're going to make our way down to Lower Juno. Here, we're going to make our way to the Goblin Hideout and speak to Bluffnix. You may need to talk to him a couple of times before he mentions a gobby bag. Go ahead and do that. If you did a bunch of stacks, if you traded a bunch of stacks in the Only the Best quest, you should be able to unlock every gobby bag quest, increasing your inventory size immensely. Now, all of the items that they request can be purchased off the auction house, but it will be expensive. It is worth it. Now we'll make our way down to Port Juno. Here we'll interact with 2 NPCs. The first is going to be Joachim. And speaking to him will begin the production of Traverser Stones. This will allow you access to Abysia. You can do this starting at level 30, and you definitely want to do this as soon as possible, as by the time you realize you need to go to Abysia, you'll have hundreds of stones rather than just a handful. Next is Shami over here, and you could trade Shami all of your seals and crests. Seals and crests are incredibly important, and you don't want to throw them away. You could just simply trade Shami all of your seals, and he'll store them for you. We are at the exit of Port Juno right now, and I'm going to speed up this video right here, but I'll show you exactly where you can kill flies to get Gaussbit greens for your mount. Once you have completed your mount quest, be sure to speak to Mappy Toto to start another quest, which will result in a free permanent mount. After a few hours of leveling, we have gotten our sub-job to 49, which is half of the max level of 99 for your main. Final Fantasy XI does now have master levels for your main job, and with their advent, your sub-job can be up to level 59, but master levels are going to take quite a while to achieve, so for now, 49 is good. We have also leveled our main to level 50, but now what? You can't level past 50. Every 5 levels from here on out, if this is your first job to 99, you're going to have to perform limit breaks. These quests are pretty straightforward, and you can utilize your trust while doing them, making what at one point was not soloable, now soloable. These quests will be located on the top floor of Juno, Rulude Gardens, started by either Matt or the Nomad Moogle. Speaking of Moogles, let's also introduce you to 2 more that you'll need to be acquainted with. First is the Greeter Moogle. This fella deals in daily login points. You'll get 500 points on the first day of a new campaign and 100 every subsequent login. Only 1,500 points can carry over to the next month, so be sure to spend these when you can. The points can be spent on trust ciphers, mounts, seals and crests, and various items like the pops for the regular and king H&Ms. What you can buy varies monthly. Next is the Curio Vendor Moogle. This fella will sell you a ton of consumables such as ammo, ninja tools, food, medicine, and coffer keys to mention a few. What he will sell you is directly impacted by how far you have progressed in Rhapsodies of Vana'diel. Yet another reason to make that a priority. This Moogle is extraordinarily important if you happen to be on a dead server. Finally, after 45 days after your first login, speak to any goblin standing next to a treasure chest in a major city. This is the Goblin Mystery Box. You will start off with 50 daily tally and earn 10 points each day. Once you are able to purchase coffer keys from the Curio Moogle, you can trade one coffer key to the goblin for 50 daily tally. The reason 50 is a magic number is that it opens the special dial. You'll have a chance to open items that are worth millions of gil, though rare. Be ready to get a sheep tooth on a regular basis. Well, that's going to do it for part 1 of my new and returning player guide. I did most of this from memory, so I probably missed something. Again, I've linked some fantastic guides in the description. What I cannot stress enough is Rhapsodies of Vana'diel. I'd say around level 50, you should be able to get pretty far into ROV. You're going to have to complete nation missions and expansion story missions to keep pushing the bar forward for Rhapsodies. The benefits for completing Rhapsody missions are insane. Just a few to mention are increased experience, limit, and capacity points, increased skill ups, increased number of trusts you can call, removing or lowering lockout times for certain events, free trusts, lowering the cost of teleports and certain items, more items available at the Curio Moogle, and that's just a few. Trust me, you're actively hurting yourself by not working on Rhapsody missions. You can start earlier than 50, I just felt like this was a good spot to start. You had to stop leveling at 50 anyway.
The Dancing Destroyer, the King of Sting, the Count of Monte Fisto.